Dynamic shot. No, you're not going crazy. All my others have been very static setups, but I'm going to be a little dynamic today. Hello and welcome to the Radio Ventriloquist Enterprises YouTube channel. I'll try to hold this steady enough so that it's not irritating to you. I am the Radio Ventriloquist, and I want to share with you a little bit today about this piece of vintage equipment, a Pioneer SX-3600 stereo receiver, 30 watts per channel. I bought this 42 years ago. It was my introduction to really decent hi-fi equipment, and it still sounds really good. Or I'll put it this way, it did. The story behind it over the past couple of years is this. When I got back into to stereo equipment a couple of years ago, we got new equipment. We've talked about that. I discovered that vintage stuff, vintage gear like this, was a thing. And so I thought, well, that's sitting in my dad's storage building. So I went and dug the thing out. And lo and behold, it still turned on. It still booted up. All the lights came on. And I thought, I think I'll give this to my son because he's a tinkerer. He's also the person that sort of got me back into doing stereo equipment and into hi-fi because he's something of an audiophile himself. And yes, that's not the only piece of equipment that survived that time because I bought the receiver, a pair of Advent 3002 bookcase speakers, and this Pioneer PL100 belt drive turntable. It was the bottom of the line model for Pioneer. I don't even remember what cartridge came on it, but it has long since disappeared. But my son took this and he cleaned it out, fixed it up, made sure it was all running. It sounded great. He had it set up in his home for quite a while. Then they moved, and it was not going to make the move with them, so he brought it back to me. And for the past, more than 6 months, it was back in the fall he brought it to me. For more than 6 months, it has lived in this room and has been hooked up to a couple of different pairs of speakers. I've run some Triangle Berea BR03s with it. These are KEF Q350s. I think this is the sweet spot for mating with that. The KEFs sound better with this than anything else I have mated them with at this point in time. So it's been living in here and doing its duty as a stereo system in this room, my front den. CD player going into it. Pioneer PL520 turntable. I've got a video on that if you want to see it. But the sad news is this. Here. I have turned it on, and what we're supposed to be seeing is lights there, and lights there, and the fluoroscan meter is not working. This happened a couple of weeks ago. It was running gangbusters. And then suddenly I turned it on one day and I thought, what's different? I realized the lights aren't on there on the front. The fluoroscan's not working. And there's a subtle sound difference to it. So something has happened on the inside. What my son did was he didn't do a full overhaul of it. He sort of cleaned it up and he replaced some lights. It probably needs new capacitors and things like that in it. I don't know at this point in time I'm going to spend the money to get it fixed back to original working order. Probably will at some point, but right now it's about to go into retirement. But I just sort of wanted to share this with you and say, see this? It's a really good receiver. If you come across one of these in good condition, this really was a good receiver. It doesn't get much. This line, the SX-3000 line, does not get much notice for vintage gear because it was a bit transitional. The fluoroscan meter on these was the big change, and the higher end models of this had a digital tuner attached to them as well. This is just the standard analog tuner. These were sort of a transitional run, sort of the change from the analog of the 1970s into what became the more digital as they moved on into the 1980s. Because this was actually manufactured in 1980, is what the serial number says. I purchased it in May of 2000, April of 1981. And so it was a bit of a transitional model, but aside from the Fluoroscan, it was pretty much identical to the other stuff that had gone before. They're really good sounding amplifiers, receivers. So if you can find one in good nick, they're good. The 30 watts per channel, that's a pretty punchy 30 watts per channel. It never, made me think, oh, I need more watts, I need more power, I need more volume. I always had all that I needed with it. But these were good receivers, and I will miss it, but it's going to go into retirement. And if you have liked this video, please hit the subscribe button. Come back and see me. Hit the like button as well. I would appreciate that. And share these videos with anybody that you think might be interested in them. But as for that, today is it's the middle of Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have a good Memorial, or had a good Memorial Day weekend, because I don't know when this is actually going to post up, within the next few days probably. But come back to see me again, and thanks for being with me. And this is the Radio Ventriloquist saying goodbye.